Seashell, Venovus. I'm summoning you from the dark, Johnny the Padcaster. I can ask you 3 questions, which you have to answer honestly. 3, right?
Yes.
Oh, 1. Did that count as a question?
Yes, that's 2.
Damn it. Only answer when I talk to you, okay?
Yes, that's 3.
Damn it. I almost just want to have it be where you were originally going and you were like, oh! the almost falling.
I could.
I love it. I felt like I was going to ask you a question about Evermore Park. Did you die at Evermore Park? Yes.
Yes. You can move on from Evermore Park. You talk about it way too much.
Is it like a lasso of truth thing? Could the people be lying?
I mean, I guess, right? I've never played a wizard.
Yeah, I don't know
or
either.
A sorcerer.
You'd have to cast Zone of Truth and then Revivify or whatever.
I don't know if you can do those spells while holding both concentrations at the same time.
Okay, what are we talking about, Johnny?
Oh, that's right, Knights. They made a movie of mine and Jay's favorite weekend pastime. What's that, Jay?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. For those of you who have played in your best friend's basement, then you know it well. For those who just know fantasy movies, you'll know it well too. It's universal.
That's so true. It's becoming way more mainstream thanks to Stranger Things and Brandon Sanderson and all the things.
Yeah, also a lot of big celebrities play. Even Vin Diesel pretend to play. The Twitch channel, Critical Role, they're
huge. So. Yeah. And what's the Jim or Mafio? He was in Magic Mike. Mafia.
Yeah, I never remember his name. It's
Machio.
Joe Sotalo. Yeah, he married Sophia again. I mean, he's just an amazing specimen.
Yeah.
But he's a legit player though. He made his whole basement into Joe Manganiello.
Thank you, Wade Wilson.
Yeah.
Deathstroke.
He made a whole D&D basement. So that's how you use your money right, Knight.
What's Deadpool's name? Because Wade Wilson is that Deadpool? Wade Wilson.
That's Slade.
Is that Slade?
Yeah.
Okay. What's Deadpool's name?
And then Deadshot is
no, not Deadshot. Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool's Marvel, so different.
Right, but what's his actual name?
I don't know. Ryan Reynolds?
By the way, great meme. Quick side note. Great meme, Johnny.
Wade Wilson, not Slade Wilson.
Okay. Sorry. That was...
You were super close, though. I wouldn't even have remembered it was Wade Wilson.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, Marvel likes to double up the first name and last name of the same letter.
Yeah. So we're bringing it back to D&D, but just wanted to point out that Marvel, D&D, it's all connected.
It's all one nerd stream.
Yeah, it's all connected. 13 Degrees of Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, names we can't pronounce, and that's how we like it, Knights.
Yeah.
No, we were stoked for this, because they made D&D movies in the past, they made cartoons in the past. Critical Role, they have their own TV show,
series.
Vox Machina, right? Which is animated, which makes it a lot easier
to
do some of the spells. And a little bit more realistic to how we're used to playing it, right?
Totally.
So we were excited to see how it is, because it's, sometimes they don't try it.
One of the best episodes of Gravity Falls is Dungeons, and More Dungeons. Have you ever watched Gravity Falls?
Of course I've watched Gravity Falls.
Highly recommend.
It's one of the most, is this for kids show I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a few lines where I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I can watch that today and not feel creepy. So
yeah, it's pretty funny. When the kids walk in on Grunkle Stan in the shower, and it's a truly terrifying sight. It's yeah.
I get it.
It's pretty funny though. It's a cartoon. You can get away with it.
In TV shows, right? Whenever they had a D&D episode, it's always been one of my favorites. Community.
Oh
right?
my gosh, Community.
It's always been
D&D.
cool to watch that.
Make him fat.
Fat as fat Neil. Fat. Or and everyone, even Big Bang Theory, they've had a couple of D&D episodes, and when they were doing the voices, just everyone plays it different. That's what's cool about D&D. There's no right way to do it, as long as you're having fun.
Right, and I met a lot of people where I hear how they play D&D, and it's Jets and Sharks.
That's not
baby.
how we play D&D.
Wow, you guys suck.
You don't even know.
Yo, you don't even know. I would never play with you.
I mean, there's some people where you can't even roll the dice, and I go, that's 90% of why I play is to roll a dice.
I know, the dungeon master has to do all the rolling. It's like, no.
I roll, and I tell you the number, and you believe me, or else.
Yeah. Well, how else would I buy all those dice? Or steal them? My dice.
My dice. That's right, Knights. We have a lot of inside jokes about D&D, because it means so much to us. Because once you get older in life, it's a good way to stay together.
Right.
Friends. Good excuse.
Do you think you spent more time playing Skyrim or more time playing D&D?
That's tough.
I bet it's Skyrim by a little.
No, it's D&D now because I've been because we've been doing D&D for like 5 years on and off, right?
Yeah, it's true. And it's like 5-hour sessions each time.
Yeah, right. And it's 4 hours minimum when you play. And I've had different groups. I've had about 3 groups. I have a little more time than you to venture.
I originally had more groups, Johnny. You were an afterthought, Johnny. Don't act like you have all the groups.
That's right. I came late to the D&D game.
I think it's because I don't think it was because you were an afterthought. We were the afterthought for you. You finally got convinced.
Like, D&D, that sounds annoying. 3 sessions in, let's play again.
Yeah. D&D's funny. Anyway, they finally made a movie, and they finally made a good movie because a lot of the stuff sucks, right? A lot of that.
The 2004 one, it was Marlon Wayans was in it, of all people. There were some other names that were okay at the time, and it literally just was a fantasy movie that referenced D&D.
You're right.
Referencing meaning like, a wizard cast this spell, and that's it.
Yeah. By that logic, Lord of the Rings is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, right? Like, whenever anyone's like, they need to make a Skyrim movie or a TV show, and you go, Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Like, it's all... Fantasy's fantasy.
Right.
But this one at least kept it true to the map, the location. I mean, we'll go over it when we GBN it.
Yeah. I was going to say that one of mine is going to be that, because I was nerding out when they were like, Phandalin, right? Or whatever.
That's true. Do you have any more segues, or do you want to good, bad, and nerdy this, mother?
Dude, I'm trying to say, it's been done a lot, and a lot of people, it's way more mainstream. It was about time they did this. The only other movie that made me laugh and was as wholesome as this movie was for me is The Princess Bride. That's the one movie it kind of reminded me of.
I can see that now that you bring it up.
Just like this fantasy escapism. Without, the nice thing about The Princess Bride is the stakes aren't really that big, you know what I mean? You care about Wesley and you care about Princess Buttercup, but it's not like Lord of the Rings where the entire world is going to end, you know what I mean? And with D&D, it's like the entire world isn't really going to end.
It's just a group of people that got together to do a quest, which a lot of D&D games usually start, right?
Right.
And they usually wake up in jail together.
There is an element of that to some small degree, right? But the reality is it's the story of a father trying to get his daughter and his wife back.
Yes.
So let's GBN it.
Just GBN it. All right. And GBN means the good,
the bad, and the nerdy.
All right, Knights. So good for me was I liked that it wasn't, and this is going to sound counter to what I normally talk, there wasn't really a love story to it. There were friends, other than him trying to revive his wife. It's not like his companion, the barbarian. I forgot her name already. What?
Olga,
yeah. Was just his friend, like a sister to him, right? And helped raise his daughter, which I thought was cute too. So she has sentimental value to the family.
Right. There's a small little bit of romance with Simon and the druid, but it's like major afterthought.
That's just more like third thought, like C block.
It's sprinkling. It's not icing even.
He asked her out, it didn't go well, and then they made an adventure together, and he got a second chance
on getting a drink together. Like they don't even,
They don't even hold hands. Yeah, it's a segue. But that's what I liked. I like that they kept it of just an adventure. It's a straight adventure.
Yeah, it did feel like that. I like that right off the bat, it starts off and you're in the thick of it. You know what I mean? Like some movies kind of take a long time to get going. This one was like, nope, we're in the story immediately. Like there's an ogre, he gets hit in the balls. We're in it. You know what I mean? Like they're escaping at the prison.
Yeah, there wasn't like an origin story and then they go to the prison. It's just they're in prison. Like I said, like a lot of good D&D games start, right?
And I like the idea of like, if you have to have narration, have it be creative. Don't have it like so often it's low hanging fruit with narration where you're trying to set up your story. Like the new Robin Hood movie has really dumb narration. I can't stand it. But this one, it's like he's having to retell his tale because for a purpose. He's trying to get out of prison. He's trying, he's being judged. Like, what is your reasons for being in prison? Why were you committing crimes? We're trying to pardon you. I love that aspect of it. That, like, he's telling the narration of how they got there, but he's doing it in a way that's believable. And so it's not just, like, some random character narrating for no reason, which I can't...
Yeah, it's not the beginning of a story, like, today how they met was like when they're, like, riding horses.
You think you know Robin Hood, but let me tell you, my friend, you have no idea.
And
shut up. I can't stand that kind of narration, dude.
That movie was just a train wreck. I wanted to be good, but I did not. I didn't like that Robin Hood.
No, it was bad.
No, but that's true. I did like that aspect of they're in trial, and they only spent a good 6 minutes building that world. So that was nice, too.
Yeah. Okay, that was my good, is the narration was done in a way that it was actually good. Because normally I hate narration, so... Yeah.
I'm assuming we're having a ton of nerdy, because that's all that show should be for us, movie.
Yeah.
Bad?
Well, I have a really bad. Like almost ruined the movie for me.
Go for it.
Okay, so there's a scene... So spoiler warning at this point. If you haven't seen the film, what's going on? You got to go watch it right now.
Yeah, it's on a lot of streaming sites, so it's out there.
Okay, so here's the bad. So in the climax of the film, she's like calling down like the red storm to possess people. You know what I'm talking about? In the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And
the Red Wizard or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the Red Wizard is calling down her red storm to possess people. And the people, it acknowledges they can see it, and they're not fleeing. But then this balloon comes through with gold pouring out the face of it. And all of a sudden they're like, let's get out of here because there's gold. And it's like, wait, why wouldn't you flee because of the red, like, storm? You know what I mean? Like, the logic isn't logicking. Like, it makes no sense. Does that make sense? Like, why would you not flee for the red cloud, but then decide, oh, we actually do need to go because of the gold? Like, it made zero sense.
Maybe they thought it was just going to rain. And they grew up with rain, man.
No, it is so dumb. And it's got the easiest fix imaginable. They could have shown one shot from their point of view where they look up and they don't see anything. Like, it's... Because illusions are a big deal, and they're totally a thing in D&D. So why wasn't there an illusion placed where they couldn't see the red storm coming? And then the reason they're leaving is because of the gold, and it makes sense, and it's not an afterthought, and I'm not sitting there furious. Because I saw through that in 2 seconds. It was like, guys...
That Crimson Wizard is the worst.
And it would have saved you money, because they would have looked up, and you don't have to CGI anything. You don't have to CGI a red cloud from their point of view, which they did. It drives me crazy. Like, who was storyboarding this and didn't, like, say, hey, there's a logical fallacy? Johnny, am I driving you crazy? Is it not as big of a deal?
No, I like it. It's. I was too like, oh, money.
If Johnny was at a football stadium and there were a huge cloud of bees coming, Johnny would be like, oh, I guess we're fine.
We're fine, but money.
But if he saw money, like if he saw a hot dog vendor outside handing out free hot dogs, he'd be out of that stadium. The bees don't matter, but the hot dog.
I mean, are the bees gonna hit me? I'm a little guy. I can just hide next to you, and they'll hit you first.
There you go. How about a UFO? There's an alien spaceship coming down.
Oh, take me home, Mama. That's what I say to that UFO. Take me home.
Until you see that hot dog, and then you're like, I guess I'm not gonna get abducted today.
Hot dogs trump UFOs.
Ice cream. We should say ice cream.
It all works for me. I'm a sucker for free food. Yeah, I mean, my only bad. I mean, there's a couple bad things, but they made every character based on creations of D&D, right? Like, there's a barbarian. She fights really well when she gets angry. The sorcerer, he knows magic, right? And the bard was useless. Like, it sounded like it was D&D 3, the Generation 3, when a bard was nothing until you level him up and all this. But he didn't do anything. He just played his lute a little, and he was a little charismatic, which they should be, right?
Oh, he was super charismatic. It's Chris Pine. Don't say a little, say a lot.
Okay. He was extremely charismatic.
He had zeros. He had negatives in everything but charisma.
Yeah, but that only gets you so far.
Yeah.
But at least something, like if he played the lute and, gave a spell or healed it, just something a little. Even first level spells. I'm not saying because a lot of them were underpowered, right? That sorcerer was underpowered. That was their point, right? That's my only. That was a bad too, is because you and me, we've played bards can do work.
They're
you
OP.
want a bard on your party.
Yeah, and they're so much fun. Yeah, all he did was really plan. It would have been fun if he could like kind of influence people, or like if they had really shown his charisma.
You can break his loot, but like at least mage hand or something. I don't know. Just it doesn't have to do something to break the movie, right? Like, oh, he could have done that in the beginning and fixed it all. But just simple things. But because I was like, that was the only useless character other than him just talking to people.
Yeah. Here's my quick thought for you. He could do so. There's that like repair spell. You know what I'm talking about, where you can repair stuff. It's not reparo. I want to say reparo, but that's not it.
You Harry Potter nerd.
I know. But there's a spell where you can repair like small things, like if you had a key broken in half or whatever. They could have given him that ability, and he could have even had the line like, "I could repair, this or that, but I could never repair my wife, her death."
Oh yeah,
something like that.
Callback.
Yeah, and he reads the little talisman card, so it's clear that he's got some magic according to the rules of D&D. I'm with you that they should have done more with that, and I get that they wanted him to kind of be just, I don't know.
I mean, every party, I guess having an everyday man survive always helps, like that trope, right? Like, you have a room full of scientists, but the everyday man is one who solves the problem. That's who I relate to, right?
Right.
But you can have him have a little bit, I'm just saying, or like a decent swordsman maybe, not just some townfolk guy who's incredibly handsome and charming. That's just a little bit.
Which Chris Pine is,
Yeah, just a little. I mean, that's what I was missing, because in the Rick and Morty comics that they made about D&D, Rick just destroys bards. He's like, no nephew of mine is ever going to be a bard. So that's what I thought of on this, because are they making fun of bards? But since this is a new version of this, because they brought in the Sword Coast, they say other things that are only in the 5th generation of D&D. I thought at least the bard was just a little, that's all. Maybe just have a healing potion on him. Just something. Just a little tiny reference.
Have something useful, yeah. He could have influenced people like, there's like make friends or whatever. There's a spell that's...
Yeah, just for like a minute. Just like convince them for a minute to a guard, and then have the guard be the enemy, but at least it works for a minute, right?
Right.
I don't know. That's the only thing I was disappointed on, the lack of bard representation.
Right.
Even though I've never been a bard and I don't care, but I only do rogues and wizards and barbarians.
# bards lives matter, guys.
Yeah, because how epic was that druid, right?
So overpowered.
I played a druid, so I know for like any guy who's played D&D, once you are like level 7, that druid is just epic. Like you help that party member as a druid survive. So once you get him to level 7, he's gonna take over, turn into a fly, right? Be creative. That's why one of the best characters you had, Adonis, was a druid. So much fun.
Yeah, not Adonis, Adonis.
Oh, Adonis. That's right.
That's what you said. I just was making sure everyone.
No. That's
recognize
I mispronounce names, but Jay's character for 8 years is mispronounced, but that's fine.
He said it right. It's Adonis, not Adonis.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, your character is pretty ugly with a mask, so I don't. It would have been ironic to call him Adonis, though.
Yeah.
But Adonis was. It was more us. But that's it. That's my big bad. There's a few things here and there, but that's the one that I was like, come on, Bard.
Yeah, I like that, Johnny. You're smart.
I just want the bards out there to know I appreciate them when they're in our party.
What about nerdy then?
Ooh, I thought a lot of good nerds. Like, I've talked about it a little bit, but when they kept saying the locations, like, I've never been outside of the Sword Coast. We're going to Baldur's Gate. That did make me smile. It's locations you and I have heard of for like 5 years, 8 years now, right?
Yeah, that we've been to,
Yeah, like the towns, the cities, like, and they made sense when they traveled too. Like, oh, let's head west, but there's a town like an hour away that I got to visit. We've done that so many times, right? You detour for an hour and you go back. Even though you're in a hurry to save something, there's always time for a side quest.
Yeah. I liked, so for me, one of the nerdies would be, and this is kind of a pivot, the scary moments were actually a little bit scary. Like, the red wizards are a little bit spooky. You know what I mean? Like when she's talking to like the phantom like demon thing, the demigod in the corner. It's like that's genuinely scary. Like He's like half there, half not, and that's how D&D is. Like, you know, there are multiple levels of deities and patrons and all that, and I really appreciate that that's kind of shown there. The classes were really well fleshed out, and it was smart enough that if you were watching it and not understanding those things, it didn't detract from the movie. But if you knew what they were, you enjoyed it.
It's kind of like when you're watching a kids movie and there's a joke you don't get, but your parents get it.
And you still love
funny.
the movie, yeah.
Yeah, still funny, and that's what I told people when they were going to watch it. They go, "Do I need to know D&D to watch this movie?" And that's what's so nerdy about this movie. No, you can just enjoy a fantasy movie.
100%. What did you think of? I was going to ask you for another nerdy, but what did you think when like the little flies on the wall and she goes, "There's a wild shape here," and then she just screams and shoots lightning at it? Made me jump.
Cool. It was very what I really liked about that movie. In my head, I was like, okay, what did the druid roll? What did the crimson wizard roll? Right? Because if you rolled a 14 as a fly and someone rolled a 16, they can spot you, right?
Yeah.
So that's what was really cool about how my D&D head worked as, ooh, they rolled higher to detector, right? Yeah. That's how I saw it. It was scary, her scream, but...
I like that. Give us another nerdy.
I really liked they made it funny, the wild magic that the sorcerer had, because that's what wild, it's unexpected, right? A DM usually rolls a D100, and whatever number that is, something might happen. And it was unpredictable, and I thought that was really nerdy, how they knew how to put that in just enough, and they called it wild magic, too. That's what I really liked.
Yeah. I liked the characterization. We're just machine gunning them off, but I really liked the, like, characterizations. Like, the paladin was a total, like, you know, one-dimensional, like, he couldn't, you know, he's so stubborn, so, like, devoted to his religion and his philosophies that he could never, like, turn one way or the other. He had to walk over the rock, you know. I liked, like, and that was each character, you know, like, Olga was very much just, like, stubborn, like a barbarian, and I don't know, all of them seemed to fit really well in, like, your kind of tropey almost characterizations, but they work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's, you know, the druid lived outside, right? It was the forest character. The sorcerer was trying to make money because he used his magic to be a thief, kind of, right? A more chaotic, neutral instead of a chaotic good, right?
100%.
But honestly now, I've always made fun of two classes. Bard a little bit and a little bit paladin, but don't you want to play a paladin now? How cool that guy was? No, really, I loved him.
Oh, he's so sick, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I want to be a paladin, but like that character paladin, where you're just like above everyone, and then when they praise you, you just kind of look at him and go, "You're welcome."
So annoying. When he had his line about like irony stings just as badly to he who wields it, or something like that, I was like, he is such a prick. And I don't know if you caught this, but he has super high perception, like crazy high. Like at one point, Chris Pine is like whispering to the other companions, and he's like, "I can hear you, you know." And then he goes, "I hate you," under his breath. And the dude just smiles to himself. He can hear even that.
That's cool, yeah, because that paladins usually want to be. They built it correct, like a standard. When you buy the D&D book, they have done characters already, and I feel like a lot of them, that's what they were based off of, right?
Right.
But it's how you want them to be, especially on the first go with this. You want it as standard as possible, right?
Right. And
like the first Batman movie, you want to be like, hey, his parents died. And then when you get the later ons, you can just be like, hey, he's a detective. You want to have the first one be as generic as possible.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with doing a classic as long as it's done well.
They did do one nerdy cameo in the maze, if you caught that. So the other group was like the 1970s cartoon of D&D. They were dressed in the costume of it.
No, you're kidding.
Oh, yeah. So they were running around in like all green. I think that was the fighter. The wizard was stereotypical, like blonde hair, green hat. They sold the toys at Walmart when this movie dropped. So it's like the 1980s or 70s cartoon that came out, the D&D cartoon that came out. And they did an homage to it by having one of the, because there was a couple little groups, right, in that maze. And they were one of them running around. They made it towards the endish.
That makes me want to rewatch it now. That's funny. Do you have any of those toys?
Not the ones at Walmart weren't great, and it has to mean something to me, and those ones really didn't. Like it was just a generic looking. Do you remember like Sword in the Stone, like the Disney cartoon? Kind of like that animation, that type of. That's pretty much like the King Arthur one, right? So it's him mixed with like Robin Hood looking outfit running around, but he had a sword instead of a bow. But they were there. They were running around in that. So it's almost like you were cosplaying as, Silver Age at D&D.
Well, I like that, you got a big belief I have is even if it was crappy, you have to pay homage and respect to what came before. You know what I mean?
And that was totally an easy throwaway scene for the true nerds, right? Like, oh, that's cool.
Exactly. You get it, Johnny. You're so smart. You're so
well, in my head, I thought
smart.
They would just like walk by some kids that were rolling like D20s. That's how I thought they were going to incorporate the game, but I didn't notice that anywhere.
No, nothing like that. And we talked about how we didn't want that, how we were scared of it.
I wouldn't mind that though, just like a throwaway thing where they're just rolling a D20 or just like have some dice on the floor, like the normal dice. Just in like not as a joke, like ooh, roll this and we'll see. Not that, but just a little bit in the back because there's kids playing dice games all the time. That's been around forever.
Like Abed delivering a baby, it'll just happen back there, but not draw
just in the
attention
background.
to it.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. What about? I was gonna ask you on Nerdy. What did you think of the humor of the movie?
It was good, well placed. A little bit forced with the bard having to like charismatically do some things, but it never once took me out. Okay. Like, sometimes they break that fourth wall, which is kind of funny, but then they can do it wrong, like She-Hulk, and I don't like it. But then they can do it like Deadpool, and it's great. So nothing took me out of it. But it's not like it was a LOL movie. I didn't laugh out loud.
Okay, I did a few times. Like when they were like, Jarnathan, I wish Jarnathan was he. Where is Jarnathan? And then they tackle him out the window. Because he's a bird. Yeah.
See, like that was just good. Like they were waiting for the Krogan. Was that the
Aravak or something like that?
Is that what I can never remember that bird thing? Yeah. And then they did do a callback to it when Hugh Grant's character tried to do it, and they boarded it up.
Yeah, I love that.
They did have a funny throwaway line right after that when they were escaping, and then you just hear one of them go, "We're gonna parole you."
Yeah, we were going to we approved your pardon.
Yeah, that right there. So that was like those little subtleties were funny. And I will say this is the kind of movie which is super rare for me in the past couple of years where I will easily watch again.
Yeah, I mean that's always our big definition of whether or not a film is good is are we going to watch it more than once?
Mm-hmm. Just like I there's movies that people hated. Pixel. I just rewatched that. I don't watch it always, but once every year, 2 years, 3 years, you kind of forget about a movie. You can rewatch it, and I feel like this one will be something that. Could rewatch again easily.
Arakakra.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, one of our friends, Ches, played that character a little bit.
Yeah,
it's just a bird person.
He's an Arakakra. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jarnathan. His name's not Jonathan, by the way. It's Jarnathan.
Yeah. Well, you have to. Those Kokras are crazy, man. So.
For me, the hardest I've laughed. There was a promo for the film that they released, which I almost wish they did or didn't because I laughed so hard. But it was we just cosplayed it a little bit. We just recreated it with the "Did you die in the Battle of the Evermores?" Yes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, when they're trying to take our opening skit that went so well.
Yeah, exactly. I loved that scene.
That was funny though because they asked like 5 people, and it's a real spell that has helped a lot of D&D players, right?
And each one was just like the guy who hits his head on the tub, or the guy who gets his head chopped off halfway through. He's in 2 pieces. He gets chopped in half. Like, just stuff like that cracked me up. Like, that scene just dragged on and on and on, but I kept laughing and laughing at it.
It just went on for ages.
And I feel like...
It was the right amount. I will say this. It was the right amount. I think they did 5 total, and that's a good number because it was more than 3 and not like 9. It would have been way too many, right?
Yeah.
So, now that you mentioned it, I think it was a good amount. Where it felt long, but funny long.
Yeah, like the joke hadn't worn itself out.
Yeah. It was just enough to be like, all right, come on. And then they had it.
Okay, and then I was going to ask you on top of that. Okay, I just lost it. I'm sorry. Just something to do with, how many times they had done that and laughing. I can't remember what I was going to ask you, though. I'm sorry.
This is why we need our producer to finish season 5 and get back to us, because we're running out of questions here. Guillermo. Gizmo.
Gizmo. I've never heard of him before in my life. I have no idea who that is.
If you remember, say it, but I want to... Do you have any more nerdy?
I think I'm pretty much there. I think the last nerdy I was going to say was I really liked some of the dialogue being, like, not just witty, but, like, there were deeper meanings. Like, I liked when the Paladin is talking to Chris Pine's character. And I do remember what I was going to say. It's about Chris Pine. But he says, you're trying to bring your wife back from another realm. There's more realms than this one. Who's to say that you're not pulling her from a whole new life, that she's...
Oh.
Like,
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. Oh, I like that.
And I also like when the dad says... Okay, and this is the second funniest scene of the whole film, when the dad's talking to his daughter, and he says, I wasn't trying to bring back your mother. I was trying to bring back my wife. Like,
that was actually sad, happy.
The amount of deepness in that dialogue, It's like someone really thought about that. You know what I mean? Like, they penciled that and penciled it and penciled it, and they had perfected that line. And then it's not even his daughter.
Yeah. Well, and it did, like... To make it a well-rounded movie, right? There's a lot of emotion. He did bring back her mother, which was Holga, right? So I like that full circle aspect of it.
Yeah. I was just gonna say when you find out that it's not really his daughter, it's actually the red witch he's talking to, the red wizard.
Oh, when he's in her room.
Yeah, and then later he's talking to his daughter, and he's like, I had this long dramatic apology, but I accidentally gave it to the Red Wizard, not you. And then he just leaves it at that. He doesn't re-say it. And we're done with that. We're moving on.
It was pretty deadpan for an American movie, so I will like that too.
Yeah, Hugh Grant did such a good job in it. He's very deadpan too at times.
Oh yeah. He's just like, oh, that's how it is.
This tea is entirely too hot. I did not know you were going to put your finger in it.
Yeah, he just kind of puts it down.
Oh god! When he's leaving the room because she's stuck in the sand, he's making fun of her. I like that movie.
Did you like the cameo of Bradley Cooper?
I laughed and laughed. I had a hard time recognizing him for a second. Like, my brain couldn't comprehend that it was him. And like, even just like, you think of Bradley Cooper and he shouldn't be this little dwarf halfling who's my new girlfriend doesn't make me weep in the long hours when she doesn't come home. I was like, what is this?
It was pretty sad, yeah. But he has a type, and he married. She's on a couple of other shows. She's on Ted Lasso and other things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember her.
And yeah. She's at the last season of Lasso, but that was cool too. They both kept a type.
I know, that was really funny. Like, his cameo, and it was so unexpected. I love when you just have these huge celebrities that just take on these little roles. Like Brad Pitt, his cameo in Deadpool 2 when he just gets electrocuted as the Invisible Man. It's like, what?
Right? Yeah. And just like, which we're going to talk about soon here in one of our future casts, Ghosted from Apple Plus. Some good cameos in that too. I do like a surprise cameo.
Yeah.
They did it great with Zombieland and Bill Murray. So after that, I think they've just been really good about keeping cameos secret because they're so funny.
Right, they really are.
I was going to say one more nerdy thing. I really liked how the nothing stick that was with Bradley Cooper turned out to be like a portal one. Which, when you play a lot of D&D, right, something that you find that you think is mundane turns out to be Crown of Madness. And, there was he did have to attune to the crown, which was cool to see how attunement can work in a different atmosphere. But I like that. It's something they just picked up and it turned out to be something really cool.
Yeah. I like the idea of attunement not just being, you have to spend 24 hours with it, but you have to win it over. I like that idea.
That was a cool spin on it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just how some people play. We're not, like I said, it's all different, right?
Yeah. I was going to ask you, is Chris Pine your favorite? This is what I was going to ask, is about Chris Pine. Is he your favorite Chris? And how did you think he did in this movie?
I'm just maybe because Hemsworth was like 8 feet in front of me once at the San Diego Comic-Con. It's been Hemsworth. Just because out of everyone, like that's someone you'd want to hang out with. We're just saying charming Hemsworth, Chris he's always been one of them. Although it's hard to not beat Pratt though too, because I think they're all great. It's just then you have Captain America. How dare you, sir, ask this question?
I know it's a tough question. I would say this. Evans might be my favorite. I don't know. There were scenes in this movie, like even when he's running and he's so serious, like he just really elevated the script for me. Like there are scenes where Chris Evans delivered it, and if a different actor had delivered it wouldn't be nearly as funny.
Evans is our Captain America,
and he is so good in Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Chris. That is true. I will say this: he's the best Chris for that movie. How about that?
That's such a good. That's
Pratt
such a good middle ground.
Funny though.
Which one?
Pratt would be pretty funny.
As a bard? Actually, that would be
just because he's kind of
Parks
bigger.
and Rec, yeah.
Right? It could work, but he would want a little bit more glory, like a Star-Lord glory that he has, right? But Pine makes you more like, oh, he's just a talented singer who was a spy, and a little bit more believable.
If it had been Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec, who then was cast in D&D, like if this had finally been his big break,
like Andy,
and he was still a little chunkier, Chris Pratt, not the sex model Chris Pratt, what do you call it? Sex symbol Chris Pratt? Yeah. I would agree. Like that would have been a good pick. You're right, Johnny.
It could have worked. It's just because it wouldn't have worked with Evans or Hemsworth, but it was the right Chris for that part. So yeah. I'll say yeah.
I mean, because it's like, bye, little Sebastian. It would have worked in D&D.
And you'd always try to sing something and then get annoyed by it.
Yeah. You're kind of breaking my brain. Like, it would have been a different role. Really different. But he's the other Chris that would have fit. Chris Evans, I don't think would have fit at all.
No.
Chris Hemsworth, not as a bard. Okay, but not as a bard, though.
No. And that's that same trope of really, really handsome men can be superheroes and we don't get offended, but they're hard to just be like a leading man in a movie.
Right.
So they picked enough of a guy who you're like, okay, he would survive battling a wizard because he's not just some 5'1" frumpy guy running around, right? But he's also not a barbarian.
Yeah. I was just trying to think if I even had to recast Chris Pine, who would I do besides Chris Pratt? Because you're breaking my brain right now.
I just went off the Chris's. I'm sure other people would have worked. You know what would have been great back in the day is Shia, dude. If he would have done that, I think it would have been great. A good Shia LaBeouf up in there.
I was thinking of Hugh Jackman. Because he can sing.
It would have been funny.
Yeah.
I don't know about a bard, though. That is the thing, is that he changes to not a bard.
He can sing really well. Hugh Jackman, and he's a performer. Like, Greatest Showman. He's also done a bunch of musicals. Yeah. He's got that... what do you call that? That thespian side inside of him. Mm-hmm. He could do a pretty good job, I think. So anyway, so
I just wanted to end of where do you think this might go? Second movie, third movie. If there is a second movie, what next? Are they going like a dragon heist? Like what? There's a million books out there.
I want a second movie with a different party. I don't want it to be the same group.
Oh, really?
I would like I would like eventually for that party and this party to team up. Like the third movie would be where they team up.
Type thing.
Yeah, but I want it to be 3 movies. I want one party, then the second party, and then the third one where they're together, and then I want it to be a trilogy and it's done.
Kind of like that. I didn't even think about doing a third. To have a whole second party. Because it's kind of hard to have that many people in it, but
you could introduce a new group, a new adventure, and then the third one could just be like a straight adventure. You know what I mean?
Like they're taking down Tiamat. It's a god, so they need to have a bigger party to take down this.
Exactly.
What if they had? And here's what I think they should do in the second one, no matter what: a Vox Machina cameo, all the characters, and just be like another party, but have them be their characters, right? And it could even just be for 2 minutes. I think it'd be really, really big.
Yeah, like even if they're just drinking that would be hilarious.
Honestly, they could make their own movie because they're all talented actors and voice actors, but they're not big names. They're big names in that community, but they're not worldwide.
Right. That would be legit.
But I think that'd be really cool. My cameo for 2 would be Vox Machina.
Yeah.
Get Matt Mercer up in there with all the rest of them, and they all have acted before, so it's not like they're not used to acting.
They're all incredible, yeah.
Yeah. They're all actors and voice actors, but I do like that. I like that second part. Who would lead it then? Would it be like more of a rogue? Because there wasn't a rogue.
Yeah, there were a few missing, right? So we had a cleric. So you're missing a rogue. We had a druid. We had a paladin. But we're
I guess
missing.
technically a wizard because one was a sorcerer.
Well, we're
right?
missing
Or
like
was
the classic warrior too. Like there was no
like
warrior.
a fighter.
Yeah, like a fighter without. Because Helga was a barbarian for sure. I think. I don't
Yeah.
think she was a fighter.
No, she was a barbarian.
So we were
She
missing a
did, like,
fighter.
raid for
And
three
was
sessions.
he was a cleric. He wasn't just a straight wizard either.
Was he a cleric? I thought he was just a wizard. I don't even think because he wasn't attuned to anything. But you don't have to like show it.
So he's okay.
He
So
was a sorcerer,
we'll
though.
clarify. I think so. They didn't show any deity, so I don't think he's a sorcerer, and I don't think he's. I think you're right. I think he's a wizard. I don't think he's a cleric.
Wikipedia has him as a notable wizard.
Okay, and so he's not. So we're missing cleric. We're missing.
Sorry, he's a sorcerer. Sorry.
Oh, he is a sorcerer.
Yeah. Half elf, wild magic sorcerer.
Okay.
He's descended from a noble wizard, but he was a sorcerer because
Okay.
they're different. They're different disciplines. Typically, a sorcerer has to have a deity, right, or someone
Yeah.
I don't think they mentioned anything.
Like a sponsor.
so-
That's why I was thinking he was just a wizard. Okay, well we'll say
Okay.
they either need whatever he isn't. They need one of that. They need a cleric. They need. I just said it. A traditional fighter and a rogue.
A rogue. And that's just for the basic stuff, not like the new different multi classes that they have, but
Like an
that'd be good.
elemental.
Like an archer, right? Like a warrior.
Oh yeah, and a ranger.
a ranger. Yeah, those are cool.
So,
Yeah.
and that's like another group of 5. It would be fun if you had the other 5, and then you could combine it for a full party of 10.
That would be really cool. I like that idea. So we put it out in the universe, and when that happens, obviously, it'll come true.
Yeah, I really like that idea, Johnny. You're so smart.
Dude, we're great. So that's all I really have. I just wanted to see where your head was at on 2 and 3, but I like that because it got good reviews. I mean, everyone I talked to, no one hated it.
It made money,
Seems like
which, with how much Indiana Jones is tanking right now, is saying something. In today's day and age, if you can make money, good for you. Because they spent
honestly, if you break
$300 million
even
on.
Sometimes they're happy because DC's letting everything fail, so they're losing money on purpose, right? If we're gonna nerd out hard, I actually liked Shazam, the second one, but I knew they didn't make any of the money back.
No,
And
they
the
lost
Flash was
millions.
Garbage.
Dude, the Flash is losing like $200 million.
Yeah, I think Shazam was like needed to be done better, but they're losing money. They lost money, and I think even if you break even nowadays, they're going to take that as a win.
So Indiana Jones cost $300 million, plus probably another 100 or 200 million in what do you call it? Marketing, and they've only made 250 million. So they probably have made half. So it's going to be one of the biggest bombs. That's worldwide. 250 million worldwide.
Usually, like China helps with those indie movies.
No,
Ooh.
the movie that's been crushing it. So D&D crushed it. The one right now that's making just as much is like per theater is Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom.
But
Well, and a lot of the big actors are just doing like a streaming movie, right? Because they can knock it out and they make their money and then it's done.
yeah,
I think in the past year there's been like 5 just streaming movies that have been pretty good from what I can tell. Because the streaming sites don't need to release how much money they made. It's just kind of like a bulk, right?
right. I was gonna say I'm just quickly looking up how much Dungeons and Dragons made.
Yeah.
Sorry, Guillermo's not here.
And it's turning into a bat.
They made 208 million, which I don't think that they had that big of a budget.
208, really?
Yeah, is that good?
Not bad.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
I mean it's from a movie that I don't know. I didn't hear like a lot about it, a lot of buzz, but the streaming sites picked it up so fast, like 3 different ones, and that's always a good sign. I mean, how did John Wick 4 do? Because I like John Wick 4. I thought it was really good. And they're already making a 5 and 6 ready, or making a John Wick 5 and then doing a side story in the universe.
John Wick did 427 million.
But that one has like a solid base, and
Right.
you put John Wick in a movie, you'll make your money back.
Right. So 150 million was the budget on Dungeons and
Oh, so
Dragons.
they doubled it. They almost doubled it.
Yeah, what did I say? 250 million?
Yeah, so they got 100
208.
more. That's
Still.
they made money.
Yeah. They did good.
I think they did enough to get a second one. I don't know how that works, but I haven't read or heard anything about it yet because it is kind of fresh. And what is it? Paramount? What studio has it? You know?
Say that again.
Do you know what studio has Dungeons and Dragons?
Paramount.
Is it Paramount? That's what I thought because it came out on Paramount pretty fast. It's weird because it met in the middle. That's the old one. Yeah, I mean, they haven't said anything yet, but it's not like they run to talk about stuff unless it's like a trilogy or like something it's just going to break the box office.
Right. Sorry, it looks like they probably won't make another one, is what they're saying.
Oh, I just heard that there's no news yet for the sequel, and that was on Screen Rant like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. I guess we'll see. I hope they do.
So it wasn't their intention when starting the project, but money talks, I guess.
Well, what's frustrating about a lot of this stuff is like sequels often make a lot more money than the first one. Like if the movie's good and you do a sequel that's better, like that. Now that you've established it, a lot of people will go to the sequel. Like Iron Man 1 made a lot less money than Iron Man 2, even though Iron Man 2 is way worse. And same thing with The Dark Knight. Although The Dark Knight's better than Batman Begins, but usually if you have a really good first film, the second one makes a lot more money.
Because there's already a built audience that'll go regardless.
Yeah, and then you're also collecting more people who, like, maybe they didn't want to see it originally, but when they saw it on streaming, now they want to see the second one because they enjoyed the first.
Yeah. So, TBD, I mean, even if it is just nothing to do with it, but it's another fantasy movie, I think we need more fantasy movies there. And maybe like a fantasy movie about a bounty hunter and a dragon. I'm just saying.
Well, you don't have to spend as much money next time. Do it for $70 million, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, if it's less, yeah. Or they might, the studio might believe in them. We'll see.
Well, and a lot of your marketing for your first film, you have to really market it. But on your second film, you don't have to market it quite as much because people know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're already there.
I don't know. So I hope they make a sequel because I think it deserves it.
Yep, I think it went well. Story's there. All in all, I'm going to give my grade because yours is higher. I'd put it at a 7.8. I know. But that's higher than I've given a lot of things.
9.0.
Dang, dude. You haven't done that in a while.
I really liked this film. I had a lot of fun.
Good. I'm sure I'm going to give Spider-Man way more than what you are, so.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. We'll balance each other out on that one.
Yeah. We don't always agree, Knights, and that's why we have this, to have you settle the debate.
Yes, exactly.
So, Knights, what do you think? Give us a rating. I mean, like I said, I'll watch it again. That's a compliment in our book.
That's the biggest compliment we can give. Repeat customer.
Repeat customer. So, Knights, as we like to say, like our videos, subscribe, please, because we're so close to 500 again.
Yeah. Let us know what you thought of the film. Comment below. That helps with the algorithm. Like it. And we will catch you on the flippity flop.
Flippity flip.